Good evening, trustees, staff, and members of the public who are joining our May 19, 2026 Public Learning, Equity, and Wellbeing Standing Committee meetings. Regrets have been received tonight from Trustee Butterworth and Trustee Marilyn Wright. So this meeting is called to order. So we have a Trustee Cohen, Trustee Mamun, and Trustee Michael Chen here in person. We also have our Trustee Jenny Chen online. So the chair acknowledge Trustee Cohen to do the land acknowledgement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. We affirm that we are all treaty people and acknowledge that the York Region District School Board is located on the islands of 2 treaties. These treaties have been signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the First Nations of the Williams Treaties, who are the Mississaugas of Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Scugog Island, and the Chippewas of Beausoleil, Rama, and Georgina Island, who is our closest neighbor and partner in education. To honor this agreement, we will take up our responsibility to be respectful of their traditions, knowledge, and inherent rights as sovereign nations. We will respect their relationship with these lands and recognize that our connection to this land is through the continued relationship with these First Nations, and we acknowledge our shared responsibility to respect and care for the land and waters for future generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Without objection, the agenda as presented shall be adopted. Is there any objections? So seeing and hearing none, without objection, the agenda is adopted. Declaration of conflict of interest. At this time, the chair would ask any trustee who has a direct personal interest or direct or indirect pecuniary interest in any matter being discussed by the board during this meeting to state the conflict and nature thereof. Seeing and hearing none, approval of the minutes. The minutes of the April 22, 2026 Learning, Equity, and Wellbeing Standing Committee meeting have been distributed to all trustees. Are there any correction to the minutes? Seeing and hearing none, as there are no corrections, the minutes are approved as presented. So delegations. Currently, there's no community delegations. Board reports. So we move to A, proposed secondary school boundary change. Before the committee is the proposed secondary school boundary change report. The chair recognized Associate Director Vaidya Maharaj and Planning Manager China Sprayson to present this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Through you. So starting on page 5 of the agenda package, you'll find a follow-up decision to a report from the November 2025 Learning, Equity, and Wellbeing Standing Committee meeting regarding a boundary change to propose or to create a new boundary for the Dr. Betty Stevenson Secondary School, which is planned to open September 2027. On pages 5 to 7 of the agenda package, it outlines the background information for this proposal and the process. So the proposed boundary change is for the King City Secondary School and Richmond Green Secondary School boundaries, which would redirect the elementary regular track feeders of Bond Lake, Kettle Lakes, Lake Wilcox, Oak Ridges, McLeod's Landing, and the unnamed Oak Ridges No. 3 Elementary School. Direct those feeders to attend the Dr. Betty Stevenson Secondary School effective September 2027, beginning with grades 9 and 10. So as part of the boundary process, staff met with school councils and staff of Richmond Green Secondary School and King City Secondary School, as well as the elementary school councils to explain the change in February 2026. A public meeting was also held on February 25th, 2026 to gather feedback on the proposal as well. So questions and feedback were received regarding the opening with the new school opening with grades 9 and 10, as well as the potential effects on existing schools and the student transfer process. Additional questions were raised at about the new school relating to its construction, programming, bell times, grade structure, staffing, course offerings, extracurricular activities, and transportation. A lot of these questions, they will be answered once we get closer to the new school opening. We'll be hosting a new school information meeting planned in the 26-27 school year ahead of the opening in September 2027. On page 9, there's a map of the current and the proposed boundaries for Dr. Betty Stevenson, and the recommendation is on page 5 of the agenda package. I'd be happy to take any questions if there were any.
So any trustee have any questions? Okay, so seeing and hearing none, thank you for, so much for staff for providing this report. Okay, so the recommendation contains on page 5 of the agenda package is here for adoption. We solved that the York Region District School Board modified the current Richmond Green Secondary School and King City Secondary School boundary to create a new boundary for Dr. Betty Stevenson Secondary School, Appendix A, beginning with grade 9 and 10, effective September 2027. So any objection and any question and concern? So seeing and hearing none, without objection, the recommendation as read by the chair shall be adopted. So since without objection, the recommendation is adopted. Thank you so much. So we move to agenda B, proposed elementary school minor boundary change. Before the committee is the proposed elementary school minor boundary change report. The chair recognized Associate Director Vidya Maharaj and Planning Manager China Sprayson to present this report again. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. So on page 11 of the agenda, you'll find another follow-up decision regarding a minor boundary alignment that's proposed for September 2026. So on pages 11 to 13, the agenda package outlines the background information for this proposal and the process. So this is a minor boundary change that's different from the last one. It's housekeeping in nature and it affects less than 25 students, so no public meeting was required. On page 15 is the map of the current and proposed boundaries for Dr. Roberta Bondar and Forest Run. And so this proposal is for a small realignment north of District Avenue, where there's two streets that are essentially disconnected from Forest Run right now because Grand Trunk Avenue doesn't connect through to Rutherford Road. There's only 2 intermediate students who would be impacted by this change. However, they've been offered the opportunity to remain at Forest Run or move to Dr. Roberta Bondar because it's so much closer. The recommendation is on page 11 of the agenda package.
Okay, so thank you, staff, for providing this report. Any trustee have any questions? Question, concern? Okay, so seeing and hearing none. So the recommendation contains on page 11 of the agenda package is here for adoption. We solved that the York Region District School Board modified the current Dr. Roberta Bondar Public School boundary to include an area north of District Avenue between the Dufferin Street and Grand Trunk Avenue. Appendix A, effective September 2026. In addition, revised the elementary school's boundary for Forest Run Public School to match this change. So without objection, the recommendation as read by the chair shall be adopted. Is there any objection? Seeing and hearing none, without objection, the recommendation is adopted. Thank you so much. So we move to agenda C. So French immersion primary dual check change. Before the committee is a French immersion primary dual check change report. Is here for your information. The chair recognized Associate Director Vindir Maharaj and Planning Manager Trina Sprayson to present this report again. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So this report, again, is a follow-up information report from the November 2025 Learning Equity and Wellbeing Standing Committee, and it's regarding primary dual track French immersion changes. It's an information report that we typically bring forward on an annual basis to share feedback that we've received during the implementation process when you're changing primary dual track grade structures. So the board began implementing primary dual track locations in 2013. We now have 11 across the board. This is what our board's been using, various French immersion grade configurations at different locations to help accommodate all the students who want French immersion. These program configurations, they allowed the board the flexibility to address community needs. So if we need to create a new primary dual track, or we can collapse them depending on enrollment and space in the area. So for the 26-27 and the 27-28 school years, there's 2 planned changes being made to French immersion primary dual track schools. So the first one the report speaks to is changes for York Hill. It was a primary dual track grade 1 to 3 French immersion, and Woodland has the grade 4 to 8 French immersion. So due to changing enrollment patterns in the Woodland catchment area, Woodland's now able to have grades 1 to 3 French immersion returned to the school so that they would have grades 1 to 8 French immersion in September 2026. So with these implementations, we do consultation, which we did in the fall of 2025, and we met with school administration, teaching staff, and school councils to explain the rationale for the primary dual track changes. Typical questions that get raised at some of these meetings are, and specifically at this meeting, were about the space in the school, impacts to staff at the school, and resources for students. Other questions that come up are about before and after care about the schools and future plans for the schools as well. The second area where a change is being made is for the Viola Desmond French Immersion Primary Dual Track Program and Romeo Dallaire French Immersion Program. So currently Viola Desmond has grades 1 to 2 French Immersion, and Romeo has grades 3 to 8. And again, due to demographic changes in the Romeo Dallaire Public School catchment area, we can return the grade 2 French Immersion students to Romeo Dallaire for September 2027. So this planned change, it's being communicated now for the new grade 1s that'll be starting in 2026. We also met with staff, school council, teaching staff to talk about the changes as well. Questions were raised about projections, impacts to staff, and questions about before and after, always with students. And for both of these changes that we're moving forward with and that we've outlined in the report, communication about these changes has occurred obviously at the school council, which I've mentioned, but also through letters, individual letters sent home to families. Our board website advertises information, as well as the grade 1 FI information evening that occurred in January. The information was provided there as well. Be happy to take any questions if there were any.
Thank you, staff, for providing this report. Okay, any trustee have any questions and concern? Okay, sounds today not much questions. Okay, thank you so much. Since there's no any questions, we move to next agenda items. Thank you. So, Dismantling Anti-Black Racism Strategy, DABRS Information Report. Before the committee is the Dismantling Anti-Black Racism Strategy, DABRS Information Report. Is here for your information. The chair recognized coordinating superintendent Lois Arga, so Jillian Gibbon and Wendy Hall to present this report. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, trustees, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the implementation of the Dismantling Anti-Black Racism Strategy. This report highlights key actions, initiatives, and areas of progress that took place between March and May 2026. The work continues to focus on addressing systemic anti-Black racism through intentional action, accountability, student support, community engagement. Tonight's presentation will provide examples of how the strategy is being operationalized across departments, schools, and community partnerships to improve student achievement, well-being, belonging, and equitable access to opportunities. This evening's report is organized into 4 sections. First, we will briefly review the purpose of the report and its alignment with the broader board priorities. Second, we will discuss how this strategy continues to be implemented through the focus on continuous improvement, or FOCI structure. Third, we will highlight several key initiatives and events that have occurred during this reporting period. Finally, we will conclude with an opportunity for questions and discussion. The purpose of this report is to update trustees on the implementation of the Dismantling Anti-Black Racism Strategy over the past 2 months. In addition to outlining activities and initiatives, the report demonstrates how the strategy aligns with the multi-year strategic plan and the district action plan. The work continues to focus on addressing systemic barriers that impact Black students while also strengthening accountability, transparency, and measurable action across the system. The Dismantling Anti-Black Racism Strategy continues to be implemented through 6 foci groups established last year. These groups include superintendents, principals, central staff, and representatives from multiple departments. The structure helps to ensure that the work is not isolated within one department, but instead is embedded across the organization. Community voice remains central to this work, and the foci structure supports ongoing collaboration. And of course, strategic alignment to address disproportionalities impacting Black students and families. Key implementation highlights. So this reporting period highlights have been organized into 4 broad categories: student-focused programs, family and community engagement initiatives, professional learning opportunities, and school-led collaborative events. These examples represent a selection of the many activities taking place across the system and demonstrates how the strategy is being translated into concrete action at both central and school levels. So as it relates to student focus, this slide highlights 3 student-focused initiatives that supported achievement, confidence, belonging, and pathway planning for Black students. 2 of these programs are ongoing, and 1 is new this year. The DABR's Credit Attainment Program continues to support students in recovering or earning credits to remain on track towards graduation. Early indicators show increased participation in university-type courses and an expanded post-secondary eligibility. The Graduation Coaches for Black Students program continues to provide culturally responsive support to students across all secondary schools, helping students navigate academic pathways while strengthening engagement and motivation. And finally, the Tommy Douglas Secondary School Leadership Pilot Program introduced a leadership course delivered through Black affirming perspectives, supporting students in developing leadership capacity and confidence and critical thinking skills. This slide provides examples directly from the graduation coaches and reflects the responsive nature of their work throughout the school year. During the course selection period, coaches focused on ensuring that students and families understood pathway options and maintained access to opportunities aligned with students' goals and potential. As midterm reporting approached, The emphasis shifted from helping students strengthen learning, the emphasis shifted towards helping students strengthen learning habits, preparing for assessments, and building their confidence. The work of the graduation coaches continues to emphasize relationship building, family communication, culture responsive support, and helping students remain engaged and successful in school. Student feedback from the Tommy Douglas Secondary School Leadership Pilot demonstrates that the impact of identity-affirming learning environments and how students felt supported in that. Students described feeling more connected to leadership concepts because the course included opportunities for self-reflection, personal connection, and representation. Students also appreciated learning about Black leadership across historical and contemporary contexts. The pilot highlights how curriculum and instructional approaches can positively influence student engagement, belonging, and leadership development when students see themselves reflected in the learning experience. This slide, the next section here of this report focuses on initiatives designed to strengthen relationships with Black families and community organizations. Family and community engagement remains a critical component of the strategy because meaningful partnerships help to improve communication, trust, awareness, and access to supports and opportunities for students and families. The monthly virtual information sessions hosted by the Center for Black Excellence continue to provide families with timely and relevant information related to education, student supports, and community opportunities. These sessions were created in response to direct feedback from Black families requesting clearer communication and opportunities to better understand the educational system. In addition to board presentations, community organizations continue to partner in the sessions to share programs and supports related to mental wellness, mentoring, summer opportunities, and community development. These sessions allow families to remain connected to ongoing board initiatives and hear updates. Feedback from families continues to be positive and reinforces the importance of maintaining these engagement opportunities. Parents have consistently expressed appreciation for information shared and the opportunity to connect directly with staff and community partners. The commitments shown here reflect both gratitude and recognition of the value these sessions provide in supporting families and helping them navigate the system more confidently. During this reporting period, the third DABRA Steering Committee meeting took place in March. The meeting included follow-up action and connected to community requests from previous meetings, presentations highlighting promising practices occurring within YRDSB, and a broader year in review discussion. The steering committee continues to play an important role in ensuring that community voice informs the direction and accountability of the strategy. So one presentation during the steering committee meeting focused on ongoing work within the mathematics to address anti-Black racism and challenge the misconception that mathematics is culturally neutral. The mathematics team, headed under the stewardship of coordinating superintendent Jillian Gibbons, presented, and the mathematics team, and as well Superintendent Elizabeth Lau. The mathematics team highlighted professional learning and instructional resources that incorporate multiple mathematic perspectives and recognize contributions from mathematics with diverse identities, including Black mathematicians. This work supports educators in creating more inclusive and affirming mathematic classrooms while broadening students' understanding of who contributes to mathematical knowledge and innovation. This slide highlights two examples of promising practices shared during the steering committee meeting. One presentation focused on professional learning related to racial identity development and support for staff leading Black student alliances. The second presentation highlighted school-based initiatives that strengthen student belonging, family engagement, and collaboration among schools. These examples demonstrate how schools and staff are translating the goals of the DABRs into meaningful and locally responsive practices that positively impact students and their families. And so the year in review presentation provided high-level overview of actions connected to the DABRs while also mapping alignment with the Ontario Human Rights Commission's Dreams Delayed report. Community members identified this alignment as an important area of accountability. The review demonstrated that YRDSB currently has completed work or work in progress connected to all 12 relevant actions identified for school boards and education duty holders within the report. This alignment reflects ongoing efforts to address systemic barriers, improve accountability, and support student well-being and achievement. So this slide summarizes 6 key areas where the DABRs aligns, the Dismantling Anti-Black Racism Strategy aligns with recommendations within the Dreams Delayed report. These include accountability and transparency, monitoring student outcomes, reducing systemic barriers, improving learning environments and well-being, strengthening collaboration within community, and improving hiring practices. The similarities between the report and the board's work demonstrate the strategy is grounded in system-level change and informed by both community voice and broader human rights recommendations. This slide here, speaking to a recent learning that happened across, for board staff. So this professional learning opportunity focused on increasing racial literacy among the corporate, administrative, management, and professional staff. The session emphasized that anti-Black racism is systemic, ongoing, and connected to both historical and current inequities. Staff explored the relationship between operational decisions and the lived experiences of Black students and staff. The DABR's traffic light tool was introduced as a practical framework to help departments identify barriers reflected on practices and take actionable steps aligned with service excellence and departmental improvement planning. This slide speaks to some of the school-led collaborative opportunities. So this slide highlights 2 collaborative Black Student Alliance events organized by schools in both CC North and CC East. These events created opportunities for Black students from multiple schools to come together in an affirming space focused on identity, creativity, leadership, and community connection. Activities included drumming, photography, Black history, music, gaming, aesthetics, and family engagement sessions. These events demonstrate how schools are creating space that foster belonging, peer connection, positive identity development for Black students, while also strengthening partnership with families and staff. And before I click to the next slide, there's a video here.
Today we're in Keswick High School and we're here to connect with other Black youths in the community and just have a great opportunity to talk to other Black youth, get to know them, and just have a great time.
So we have basketball going on, we have some hairdressing, we have some music happening, and so a huge variety of opportunities for students to engage, really to socialize with one another, and we have some community partners here as well. Today we are at Keswick High School. We have invited a bunch of different schools from the surrounding areas. We have Newmarket High School here as well as some of the feeder schools, and we're here to celebrate our Black students who are transitioning to high school. So those are some of the students who are in grade 6, 7, and 8 coming to high school and getting to interact with our high school students.
I think these events are important because it's a chance for other Black youth to get to connect with each other and just have a good time.
For our students, really hoping they come together, they meet one another, hopefully make some connections that they'll be able to sustain when they get to high school, which is really important.
I'm going to the hair and aesthetics session for both sessions, and I'm just really looking forward to meeting new people and also just learning more about the hair and Black culture and stuff like that.
Right now I'm about to go to basketball, and after I'm gonna go to music. It's like 2 of my best interests, so it's gonna be a great time.
Keswick High School is in the community. We are doing great things with our Black students, great events, getting the community together. That's really our focus, having the community come together in Georgina and let them know that the students who are transitioning from elementary to high school. It's a welcoming environment. It's a welcoming environment for our Black students.
I know a few students here right now, and I'm just happy to, see them, talk to them, and, just be part of a community with them at this school.
Thank you, and a special shout out to our communications team that are always attending the events and making sure that we capture some of the key things that have happened, so thank you. And so the feedback shared on this slide reflects the strong impact that these events have had on both students and families. Students highlighted the sense of enjoyment, creativity, connection they experience, while parents emphasized the importance of community building and opportunities for their children to connect with peers who share similar lived experiences. The comments also reflect a desire for these opportunities to continue and to expand in the future, reinforcing the importance of identity affirming and community-centered programming. And so with that, thank you for your time, your attention. We appreciate the continued support and engagement of the trustees as we continue implementing dismantling anti-Black racism strategy. We now are happy to respond to any questions or comments that you have.
Oh, that's a great report. So I do see Trustee Cohen have a question.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, just a few questions, please. I was wondering, how is our attendance by parents at these excellent sessions that you are providing? And how do we provide marketing to encourage the parents to come to these sessions? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. And as our actions become more culture responsive in how we invite families, we are seeing that the engagement is increasing. So we know that families appreciate when they're invited by the principal of the schools, when the teacher reaches out. So we are looking at making those personal connections, as well as we connect through our various forms of weekly emails that go out, as well as we have a Center for Black Excellence newsletter that goes out, as well as we share through community partners. And again, the communications department helping to highlight our events and showcasing them on the various board media panels has been very helpful. So we are noticing that as we address and support the needs of how community wants to be engaged with, we are seeing definitely an increase in that engagement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Trustee Cohen want to do the second question.
Sorry if I could just, we had 62 parents attend in March and 40 attend in April. Apologies, I missed the communication that was coming in.
That's great news. Very good. Just one more question. Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
just one more question. Can you please remind us, what is the traffic light tool that seems to be effective? Thank you.
Thank you. And that is a resource that was created from within the Curriculum and Instructional Services Department. So I'm going to give a bit of a pause for Jillian to speak to it. But the key behind that, as Jillian gets ready to speak, is that that tool has been utilized by superintendents who have then helped to ensure that that tool is shared with their principals and then ultimately in the schools. And I'll turn it over to Jillian to give a little bit on that.
So thank you for that. The traffic light tool is designed to help staff sort of notice and name and interrupt when they see signs of anti-Black racism or kind of the stereotypes of how it might manifest itself. So for instance, through sort of paternalization or through, looking at children and expecting them or thinking that they're older than they are, having higher expectations for them than their age would be because, they're looking at them through a particular lens. So what it does is it just names the ways it might present, and then it says, when you see it, here are ways that you can interrupt it. So you can stop it, you can name it, you can interrupt it, and here are other strategies you could use to make sure that you don't kind of fall into some of those traps and tropes. So it's really designed as a tool to help staff become self-reflective, and they use it sort of throughout a lot. It's embedded in a lot of different PD. It's embedded in even some of the work they do with students to just really understand where it shows up in our environment and how we might say, oh, wait, I recognize that this is a situation that I need to step back, stop, and interrupt, and come at it in a different way. So that's sort of how it works. And it really is embedded through a lot of different professional learning and student work. So,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the great report. I do have a question regarding to, can you give us a little bit more detail regarding to the graduation coach? You see, every single school have a graduation coach, or how is the setup?
Thank you for your question, Chair. There are 3 graduation coaches in the system, and they support the 33 high schools, so 11 each, supporting that. And what we do is working with schools who are the primary supports for students. They work with some of the more vulnerable students in schools to provide that additional support and that connector to families and so forth.
Yeah, thank you for that information. Okay, so any other trustees have any questions? Seeing and hearing none. So let's move to the date of the next meeting. The next Learning Equity Wellbeing Standing Committee meeting is on June 2, 2026. Adjournment, as there's no further business. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.